Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the CEO for Redbus, and it's been a privilege leading this organization for the previous 2 years. However, I began my career in FMCG. So I was doing brand management and marketing management with Unilever, Hindustan Lever in those days, where I used to work a lot more with you folks, the advertising and media fraternity. And as I said, about 7 or 8 years back, actually 9 years now, I made the switch to internet and digital. And since the last 2 years, I've been leading Redbus. So today I'm going to be talking about the Redbus story of innovation, how it has grown over the last 10 years, almost a decade of existence now, and the challenges that it faced and how it has innovated to solve those challenges. And to just set the context for you, right? Let's talk about bus travel. Now, when I'm talking about bus travel, this is intercity bus travel, people going from one city to the other and not intra-city or within the city. I can bore you with statistics saying that it's a large market. Suffice to say it's a $3 billion market. But let's for a moment just pause and understand why people travel by buses in India when there is a very large and established railway network. It suits all pockets, so bus is very affordable. But if somebody wants to travel in luxury, even that segment is available in buses. And finally, when it comes to availability, it's very difficult to commission an extra aeroplane or commission an extra train during peak travel times, right? But buses, it's easy to add capacity. So you will typically tend to have availability of buses even during peak travel times or even at last minute. So this is why bus as an industry has been existing in India for a while. And I must say that the bus operators are pretty good when it comes to satisfying consumer demand, and they have made a lot of innovation. So you've got buses like non-AC buses, with pushback seats. You've got AC buses made by manufacturers like Scania, Volvo, Mercedes, very comfortable buses with pushback, luxurious seat. And something which is very innovative, I've seen this only in India, of all the other bus markets I've seen around the world, which are sleeper buses. Now, these are not seats that go back 180 degrees, but these are actually flat beds, if any of you have not traveled in them. And you've got 2+1 sleeper and a different configuration, which is aligned differently in the bus. So a lot of innovation in how the bus itself is configured and run. But when it came to bus ticketing, about 8-10 years back, bus ticketing had not evolved. So if you're a bus traveler, you would have to go to shops like these. These are the bus operator counters. You would have to go to these shops and physically buy a ticket, right? Or you would go to agent shops. So these are travel agents who would be selling tickets for multiple bus operators. You would go into their shops and buy. Shops that look like these. Mind you, not all travel agents would be dressed in an attire like this one, but you get the drift, right? So you had bus ticketing, which was still very complicated. And for a traveler, there were many pain points. Because if he had to travel from one place to the other, he would go to a travel agent shop, but the agent was connected only with a few bus operators over telephone, right? You do not get tickets with one agent. You have to make visits to multiple agents to figure out availability. Prices were not transparent, so the bus operator would have a certain price, but that would be opaque to the end traveler. He would depend on whatever price the agent was telling him. If you were coming, say, from Bombay to Goa, and you have to book a round-trip ticket from Goa to Bombay, you have to either get it done from somebody in Goa, or you would have to come to Goa and get your round-trip ticket. And because of all this, there was a lot of inefficiency in the system, right? You had travelers who were traveling who could not travel because they did not find space in buses. At the same time, there were buses departing which had empty seats in them because they did not find the traveler, right? So a lot of inefficiency. Just one second. And this is when Redbus came into the picture. What I'm telling you is pre-2006. Redbus was born in 2006, and what I'm going to tell you now is how that has impacted the bus travel and the ticketing industry. So if you look at it, many of us are aware of Redbus as an online ticketing for bus tickets. It's available on desktop web, it is available on mobile web, and it's available on Android and iOS and Windows apps. But what made it all happen How did the entire ecosystem come online? Redbus has got products. One is called BOGDS, which is the Bus Operator Global Distribution System, which is basically the online ticket booking and inventory distribution for bus operators. And it's got SeatSeller, which is the online ticketing system for travel agents. And then we have launched a product called YourBus as well, which is for GPS and bus tracking. This slide is a bit technical, so bear with me, but just to illustrate how it all works. Now, if there are multiple bus operators in the market, they're all connected into BOGDS. So BOGDS is the software that converts the physical bus into its digital avatar. So all the seats on the bus are converted into digital seats that people can click on, book on. And because it's digital, it can be distributed, right? So it gets distributed online to Redbus. It gets distributed online to BO counters. So every BO counter now suddenly had computers which would connect to the internet and get access to this live inventory. And you had SeatSeller, which was the agent-facing platform. So suddenly all the travel agents that you saw earlier were also now started putting computers in their shops. And rather than relying on telephone, they would log in. And everyone in the ecosystem now had access to all the inventory, which was made transparent. So if a passenger were to travel, they could come online and book onto Redbus, or they could walk in. If they didn't have the means to transact online, they could walk in into the bus operator's booking office, or go to the travel agent and thereby book the seats online. Now, all this may sound very good, but it took a lot of effort to get this going for two reasons. One, if you look at the bus segment in India, it is largely dominated by small and medium enterprises. Bus segment is extremely fragmented. To become a bus operator, all you need is to either buy a bus or to lease a bus and take a license and start plying it. So we had bus operators who would have a fleet size of 1, and we had bus operators with a fleet size of about 400 buses. How do you get all of them online? So that was one challenge. The second thing, the challenge was accentuated by the fact that in India, bus travelers wanted seat selection. They wanted the ability to choose a seat that they would want to travel on. Any of you who would have traveled in bus would know that there are common myths about what is a good seat. People want to not sit in the back. They don't want to be sitting over the wheels. So how do you technically provide a solution that is connecting small bus operators who don't have the technology infrastructure, right? And they also give the ability to provide booking at a seat level. If you just contrast this with the airline industry, even today, if you have to book a seat on an airline, you can't do seat selection at the time of booking. It's only at the time of check-in that you're allowed to do it. So the complexity goes up manifold. Plus in India, there are other challenges like gender rules. So for example, if a seat is booked by a lady passenger, automatically the seat next to that is reserved for another lady passenger, right? So we had to cater for all of these things, but we kept consumer interest in front and kind of absorbed all the technical complexity in order to deliver people what they wanted. So this was about some of the things that Redbus did. And being in India, right, buses are something that, as I said, if you contrast it with the airline industry, you may have a very strong point of view about a SpiceJet or an Indigo. But in buses, there are no brands. So other thing people wanted to know was, give them the confidence to travel, was ratings and reviews. So today it's quite common, you have it for everything, including restaurants. But at that point in time, we started giving ratings and reviews on bus quality, on punctuality, and on staff behavior. And as time has progressed, we have started doing it for both multimedia reviews in terms of photos and videos. And it's not just of buses, but also the boarding points and the rest stops. So this is another thing that we have done. Another short break for water, please. Coming on to other problems, right? Redbus, if you look at it, is a very pioneering solution. It is not something that, it's not a clone of something that's worked in the West, right? We have had the opportunity because of that to look at unique pain points that Indian consumers have and try to look at how to solve some of that. Now, I mentioned to you that there is flexibility of boarding the bus at any point in the city. There are no bus terminals. But that creates another problem, which is that bus boarding points are often defined as, you have to come in front of this temple, or it's under the flyover. So if you're a first-time traveler, you have no idea where to go, right? And boarding points are very informal. It is chaotic, with many buses coming in at different points in time. Incidentally, when I landed at Goa last evening, even the Goa airport looked a bit like this, but that's something, there's a different point. But extremely chaotic and unorganized, right? So the way to solve this challenge, what we did was that we geocoded the boarding points in all the top cities for all the top bus operators. Geocode's been getting the latitude and longitude, so that when somebody is traveling on a particular day, and at the time of booking, boarding point selection is mandatory, so we know that where he has to go to board the bus. So we pop up a notification for him, telling him that he has to now leave his house to go to the boarding point, taking traffic into consideration, and he can tap on it if he wants to get navigated to that point. If he does that, the Google Maps mashup, it's a mashup with Google Maps, that opens up, and he gets navigated to the boarding point. Not just that, once you arrive at the boarding point, you're still not sure whether you have come to the right place or not. So what we have done is we have done panoramic photos of the boarding point, so that once you have reached the place, you could just go open up your phone and see and look around you and see whether what you're seeing around you is what is there in the photograph. So that kind of gives you reassurance that you're waiting at the right place, right? So these are the panoramic photos. All this we are able to do with mobile now, right? Because that's another big change that's happened over the last 2-3 years is the emergence of smartphones. And because of smartphones being there, people tend to carry them when they're traveling. So mobile has given us the opportunity to look at Redbus itself as not just a ticket booking platform, but to reimagine the role of Redbus as a true travel companion. So we do a lot of things like, for example, tips for travel. We know that you're traveling, say, from Bangalore to Chennai. We know that it's going to possibly rain in Chennai, so we'll give you a tip like you better carry an umbrella. Or we know what amenities are available in the bus. So we know that the guy is going to give a water bottle, so we'll tell you that, look, you don't have to carry a water bottle yourself, or vice versa. We have another interesting feature called dropping point. So if you're new to a particular city, you often don't know where to get down from the bus, right? You know what's your final destination, but you don't know where to get down. So all you have to do is to punch in your final destination into the app, and the app will tell you what is the closest dropping point to get your final destination, and will ping you 2 minutes before the bus is going to arrive at that particular dropping point. So these are some things that we can build in, because mobile is something that the traveler carries with him or with her. Another big pain point for users for bus travelers was bus delays. Often they would be waiting at the boarding point, not knowing where the bus is, and that we solved through GPS, which is our Your Bus solution. Now with GPSs put on buses, now we have got about 35% of all private bus operators who we have covered now with GPS installations inside the bus. We are able to provide solutions like how you get to see a Uber or track your Uber or Ola, right? So you can do real-time bus tracking at any point in time. And along with that, what you could do is also share that with your friends and family, so that they could track where the bus is, and they could coordinate their pickup points looking at the ETA in case they're coming to pick you up. But how do we get operators to kind of buy into this installing GPS in the buses? So we give them a lot of solutions to the bus operators. So this is a pretty standard solution. Any bus operator who can see his fleet of buses on the Indian map at any point in time. But he also gets reports like these. These are delay reports. So he can see at any point in time how much delay is the bus going at various different boarding points and dropping points. Delays are marked out in red. And then there are reports like speed reports. It tells him that if the driver is overspeeding, every time the driver drives at more than 90 kilometers per hour, his fuel efficiency drops, and this bus route becomes less profitable. So we give him reports like that. There are unscheduled stops report. If the driver is making more stops than what is scheduled for, or if he's taking a route which is where he's pocketing some extra money by picking passengers up and dropping them into the city, for example. All those things are tracked, and it becomes now very useful for the bus operator and makes his operations more efficient to install GPSs, which then we use to provide a lot of information for the end users. Another interesting outcome of this has been rest stops. So if you look at it, one common issue for women passengers and typically families traveling is that they don't often know where the bus is going to stop, right? They are not very sure about the hygiene of the place where the bus is going to stop or the food quality, etc. Now that we've got GPS on the buses, we know exactly where the buses are stopping. And we have started surfacing that information for travelers. So they could look at it, they could click on it, and it will show them on the map that the bus is going to stop at this place, and the stop duration has been 27 minutes, based on the last 7 days of data. And if you further click on this, it will show you photos which are extracted from Google Maps of that particular restaurant, along with the Google reviews. Now, going forward, we would be developing our own reviews where these places, all the rest stops, would get rated on things like food quality, on hygiene and safety, right? So this becomes another way in which the bus market itself starts attracting a different audience, set of audiences who are now more comfortable about traveling by bus because they can make a more intelligent selection. So these are some things that we have done. That's on the bus operator side. Now we have close to about 80,000 people who book tickets on our platform every day. Now that's a lot of ticketing happening on our platform, right? And we have a lot of data on account of this. So just for information, Redbus is the largest travel platform in terms of number of transactions, much more than a MakeMyTrip or a GoIbibo. We are the only other travel platform that beats us is IRCTC. So we have a lot of data on our platform. Now we crunch that data to give a lot of insights to the bus operators. So we give them historical trends on bus occupancy. This is the previous 30-day bus occupancy. We show them what is the future demand looking like. So the blue line is the market demand, and the pink line is the bus operator's demand. So wherever his demand is ahead of the market, he has got options like either increasing the price or adding more services. We show him things like what is his inventory share and what is his market share on a particular route for a particular bus, right? So if his market share is more than inventory share, then that's fine, he's doing well. Otherwise, he has to take actions like running a campaign, reducing his price, and we've got such tools available to him. We also give him interesting data on the heat map of the seat layout. So this basically tells you that, this particular seat, which has got 100% written against it, that for this particular bus type, the first seat that gets sold every time when the bus chart opens is this particular seat which has got 100%. So that seat is something that he can price at a higher price. And this shows the propensity of people booking on different kinds of seats. What you see is the upper deck, and this is the lower deck, and this is a 2+1 sleeper bus, right? So he could accordingly vary prices at a seat level and do some kind of dynamic pricing. So this is the kind of information that we provide to bus operators in order to make their operations more efficient. So net, if you look at the traditional bus industry, that has been kind of revolutionized by technology. And as a result, there has been increase in passenger convenience, increase in transparency, predictability and confidence, both for passengers as well as for bus operators. Certainly increase in demand, increase in variety, operational efficiency, and profitability, of course. So this is how Redbus has played a part using technology largely. And it has been recognized by a variety of awards and recognition over a period of time, right from its early days as a startup till last year. Last year, we were recognized as the most trusted brand in the category of online travel, ahead of the likes of MakeMyTrip and GoIbibo and stuff like that. So very briefly, what are we working on these days? What are our future plans? One is, this is called Redbus Now. The way this works is that just imagine you're in Mumbai and you've gone to Pune for a short meeting, for a client pitch or whatever, and the meeting gets over early. So you're free at 2 p.m. What you could do, you could open out your app and say that you want to go back to Mumbai and say travel now. So it will pick up all the buses which are already en route to Mumbai and show the buses on the map with the closest stopping point next to you and tell how much time will it take for you to get there as well. So it's almost like the Uber Ola experience for buses. So you could book the bus, track the bus, and then board the bus. We have launched hotels. As I said, we are a large travel platform, and now we want to cross-sell hotel services to these people, accommodation. And again, we want to do it in a way that makes it that is very relevant for a bus passenger. The issue for bus travelers is that most of the buses in India are overnight. So people arrive in a city at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, but check-ins into hotels are at noon. So how do you work on getting hotels onto your platform which allow early check-in and are close to bus dropping points? So we are working on those kind of hotels. And finally, we have seen many markets around the world which have got, which are structured very similar to India, same kind of problems, and where the bus ticketing again is largely offline. So we launched last year in Singapore and Malaysia. The results are very, very good. And we're working furiously to launch in a few more markets. And I'm certain that in a year or so, we should be in many of these markets that I mentioned. So that, guys, is the story of Redbus and where we are headed. And I'm out of time as well, so thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. So while I request you to take your seat, I'm going to invite on stage Mr. Ashish Bhasin, the Chairman and CEO South Asia Dentsu Aegis Network. Well, this is the time for Q&A. It's your questions, and it's being moderated by Mr. Bhasin.
Prakash, since we are running out of time, I'll ask you just 3 questions. I'll begin with the first one. It's actually a long question, but I'm going to ask you one part of it. First of all, Redbus is doing an amazing job. Why the name Redbus and not any other color? Let's say blue bus or green bus.
Okay, so that's interesting. So the founders of the company came from Andhra, AP. And in AP, I don't know what red translates, what's the translation of red in Telugu, but that is something that is a very popular kind of character, you could say. I think it's called Erava bus or something like that. If somebody speaks Telugu in the audience, they can correct me. And that's very much in the popular imagination, right? So when they came up with this idea of doing bus ticketing, they kind of went back to the roots and just translated that into red and said Redbus.
That question was from Paritosh of J. Walter Thompson. The next question is, how would you scale an app-based idea like Redbus to rural India, which probably has a higher utility there, but maybe poorer internet connections and penetration?
I think what we have seen actually is that the mobile is what is helping a lot when it comes to this particular objective. So there are basically 2 things that we have to worry about. One is the instrument of access. Second is the connectivity, the data connectivity itself. And third is the means to book bus online, right? So these are the 3 things, the means to pay online, sorry. So these are the 3 things that we have to worry about. Now if you look at it, with smartphones becoming increasingly cheaper, the penetration is just increasing by the roof. So we have got about 200 million smartphones being shipped in the country every year, and this will clearly grow. So smartphones and making it affordable is something that will lead to the to greater penetration of ways in which people can access the internet. And data connectivity also will grow with hopefully with Reliance Jio coming in, prices of data, high quality data, high bandwidth data should fall. And when I travel to small towns, in fact, I'm stunned because when this IPL T20 was, the T20 World Cup was going on, I was in some tier 2, tier 3 towns of Maharashtra, and I was just amazed that a lot of people were actually watching it on Hotstar. So I was amazed that they could actually get streaming video. A lot of the younger kids there were watching on Hotstar. I was quite amazed by that. So I think increasingly as the cost of bandwidth drops, even data accessibility and connectivity will go up. And finally, when it comes to means of paying online, there is some remarkable transformation that is happening right now as we speak. There is something which not too many people are aware of. It is called Unified Payments Interface. This is going to get launched by a body that's an association of all the banks in the country. What it essentially means is that anyone with a bank account can transfer money just like you do WhatsApp messages. So that infrastructure has been laid out completely. It is a project that's been kind of going on in stealth mode. I don't think many people outside the digital ecosystem are aware of it, but that is going to get launched in a month or so from now. And I think that will dramatically transform the number of people who are going to have an ability to pay online. So with this happening, I think our job is to then get all the bus operators who are going to service this demand, get them to come online, which we are well positioned to do.
Thank you. That question was from Abhinay Basin from Karat Media. The last question is, do you think with the rise of the low-cost airlines and demand across the lower strata of society, you're likely to face a threat of downfall in your industry? I'm just rephrasing it. Basically, with low-cost airlines, do you think there'll be a competition to bus service?
Look, I think as India gets more prosperous, with more urbanization happening, with more smart cities, etc., coming up, I think the need for people to travel is only going to go up, right? And I don't think, and we have seen this in other markets as well, other emerging markets which are ahead of India in the economic, if you look at socio-economic parameters, like we've seen it in Malaysia, we have seen it in Brazil. There is some impact. So people who are going to travel, say, to Goa from Bangalore, much ahead of time will probably prefer a low-cost airline. But anyone who's going to make plans towards the last minute, or people who are traveling frequently, will continue to rely on buses. There are a lot of advantages that are listed down. So I think overall, India is positioned in a place where the market is going to go up a lot. There could be some erosion towards low-cost airlines, but it's not going to be significantly impacting the bus industry.